As is customary, may I begin with a peace chant. It's called Shanti Mantra. In India, any educational enterprise which is a joint venture between the teacher and the taught begins with a collective prayer by both of them to the Supreme Being by whatever name called, so that they can cultivate knowledge, attain wisdom, and not quarrel on the way. This was there even in India. There shouldn't be any dissension or disharmony between the teacher and the taught. And every Shanti mantra ends with 3 Shantis. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. That is a very special significance. Suppose you ask, how many kinds of Ashantis are there in the world? Ashanti means lack of peace, which means misery, sorrow. Suppose you ask any one of you, do you have any misery? Do you have any sorrow? None of you will dare to say, I have absolutely no misery at all. I am fully happy. Nobody can say this. And how many kinds of misery? How many of them? Oh, it's innumerable. You can't count. Our great rishis were great classifiers, unifiers, and generalizers. There is a classification principle, there is a generalization principle, there is a unification principle through which all knowledge has advanced. Science particularly, technology is only riding on science. As you know, science is fundamental, which gives rise to technology. And all the other branches of knowledge have grown with these 3 fundamental principles. Our ancients classified even sorrow. How many kinds of sorrow there can be in this world? One kind of sorrow which you can immediately think of is from the body and the mind. You have a toothache, you have a stomach ache, you have a backache, and you have a mental ache also. Somebody scolded you, somebody insulted you, and you feel deeply hurt. There is one kind of sorrow called the adhyatmika dukkha. The second kind of dukkha comes from beings around you. Commonly, the beings are, coming from Belur Much where I live, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are very intelligent beings. Don't underrate the intelligence of these little fellows. They know how much to drink blood and from whom. A new person comes immediately, they say, there is a new kind of blood, come on. New recipe. And you have cockroaches, and it is said that women cooking in the kitchen are terribly afraid of cockroaches. We used to make fun. And of course, beings in the form of humans. Human beings are terrific beings who always create sorrow for everybody, as we see in the geopolitical scenario in the world now. This is called Adibhautika Dukkha, from the Bhutas. Third kind of sorrow is from the natural calamities. And environmental activists would make us believe none of them is natural, they are man-made. Man, of course, includes woman. Human beings create these problems artificially by exploiting nature. Nature is there for your use. Nature is there to be lived with in harmony. If you exploit nature out of greed, the nature comes back with what is called nemesis of nature. This is a philosophy in the Greek philosophy, and we call it Prakriti Pratishodh. I don't know how many of you, young boys and girls, may not be aware. In our days, a famous film by Hitchcock. Most of you must have heard Hitchcock. He used to make horror films. There's a film called The Birds. It's a terrible horror film. The birds in the universe suddenly become terribly angry with humankind, and they attack the human beings severely. Human beings are running for their life. There's a horror movie that happens. Don't exploit nature beyond a point. As Mahatma Gandhi famously said, nature has enough for man's need, but not enough for man's greed. Man is greedy, selfish, exploiting nature, and beyond a point it comes back and gives you tight slaps on the cheeks, as we saw a couple of years ago, when the tiniest of the tiniest of the tiniest of species called the virus, COVID-19 virus, the corona, came and attacked humankind in such a way for 2.5 years, the entire globe was paralyzed. I was asking my biologist friends, Bhatnagar awardees and Nobel laureates in the world, and all the virologists and the biologists, what were they doing? They can't stand up to the challenge of the tiniest of a virus. And I asked my biology friends, is the virus a living creature? They said no. But it comes to life when it comes to contact with life. What is this mystery? How can a non-living species suddenly spring to life in contact with life? These are great mysteries in life which we do not wonder about. Whole of science and technology, knowledge, is about a sense of wonder, which I want to particularly emphasize in management people. Management people want to manage somehow, but you can't manage beyond a point unless you learn from nature, revere nature, understand nature, and live in harmony with nature. More and more this is being realized and talked about. Some of you must have heard of deep ecology, egalitarian bioethics, and so on. The whole world is now wondering about ecology, how we can live in harmony with nature. We discovered in India millia upon millia ago that nature has to be revered and learned from. So I will start with this mantra. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. May the Supreme Being protect us both, the teacher and the disciple, by revealing to us the true nature of knowledge. May the Supreme Being protect us both, the teacher and the disciple, by revealing to us the application of that knowledge. May we both, the teacher and the disciple, strive together for the acquisition of knowledge. May the knowledge and wisdom that we acquire be effective and illuminative in the benefit of humanity. May there be no dissension or disharmony between us. Om, peace, peace, peace. All of us are cultivators of knowledge and disseminators of knowledge, whatever be the subject you study. Particularly in management, you know how you can reach your knowledge to people. How you can reach it to the common people. By common, I mean people who are not so-called educated like all of us, unfortunately, but they have learned from nature. I remember my old grandmother teaching me wisdom. She never went to school, but the kind of wisdom she possessed can't match any management expert. She managed the entire family. That is true of all of us. Old people sitting there, ripe in wisdom. Therefore, the Mahabharata says, in the Yaksha-prashna, this very famous passage in the Mahabharata, Yudhishthira is being asked questions. One question is, how does a person achieve greatness in life? The answer Yudhishthira gives, Vriddha Sevaya, by serving and by learning from old people. Those of us who have been nurtured and groomed by grandfathers always have an edge, because ripe in wisdom, they give you the essence of how to live in life. We talk about depression, despondency, and motivational speakers trying to motivate everybody and demotivated themselves, charging hugely. Be very careful about anybody, spiritual gurus and management people, motivators. Whenever they are commercial, reject them like poison. Commercialization, spirituality and motivation just can't go together. Knowledge can't be sold. In India, knowledge was never sold. The gurus never charged anybody because knowledge is too valuable to be sold to people. So wherever there is a sense of commercialization which is becoming more and more rampant in education, particularly management education, I feel so sad about it. Who are we catering to? Now, when knowledge is being cultivated and transferred, which is the whole aim of any educational institution, the person who is cultivating knowledge has to have shraddha in the guru. This is a fundamental thing which an ancient wisdom teaches. Shraddha is a very interesting word which is not translatable into English. We call it faith, very, very poor translation. You can call it conviction. You can call it a deep-rooted conception about something in which you strongly believe in. Vivekananda translated it as a prevision of truth. I'll give you a simple example. Suppose you're asked by somebody to deliver a packet, a very important document. Go there, the third street to the left, and the tall building, and the last room. Deliver it there. You're walking confidently. Suddenly, clouds come and cover the sky, darkness everywhere. To boot, there's complete power cut. You just can't see anything, even your own hand. You're not very sure. Am I walking the right path? Am I going towards the destination? Will I be able to deliver this? All kinds of questions cross your mind. Suddenly there's a flash of lightning. And you can see that street, you can see the building, you can see the place where you have to deliver the packet. And in a second, there's darkness everywhere. Now tell me, before you were walking towards that building with the feeling that you are going towards it, darkness covered, and after the lightning, what will be your state of mind? You know, you realize, you have seen that it is there, but you have not reached it. This is called Shraddha. Shraddha is a prevision of something, some truth which you are trying to achieve, you are trying to realize. This takes me to a fundamental idea in our Hindu scriptures particularly, which is called the awakening of the higher intelligence. Artificial intelligence is now in the stage dancing. AI can also be artificial intelligence or absolute intelligence. Absolute intelligence awakened in a human being is what created the artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is only a dull, dead machine in which inputs have been given. I don't know how many of you have read the book by Roger Penrose, the famous physicist who got the Nobel Prize in Physics a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, our students, particularly management people, don't feel it necessary to expose themselves to all kinds of literature, particularly scientific literature, religious literature, philosophical literature, music. Everything is part of the human being's endeavor in life. We are so narrow and confined. Roger Penrose wrote a first book called The Emperor's New Mind. The parody on artificial intelligence was just growing at that time. He begins with a prologue. A great super computer is going to be inaugurated, and the person who invented this with great pride, he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, here now we are before omniscience. I am going to inaugurate a super computer in a very novel way. Which one of you will put the first question to be able to inaugurate this?" Nobody dared to get up. Who will appear stupid before omniscience and supreme, a machine which can solve problems in a trice? A small kid got up, "Sir, I will put the first question." People said, after all, he is a small boy, he doesn't understand. He doesn't mind appearing foolish before this omniscience. "Yes, my dear boy, come on." He said, "How does it feel to be a computer?" The computer was calculating several hours and said, "I don't know." Peals of laughter were everywhere. The idea is, we do things, we achieve things, but are we aware that we are doing it? Computer calculates, artificial intelligence, in a trice it can give information, solutions, sometimes very wrong also, because according to the input. We are amazed. What is amazing about it is the speed and not the intelligence. Remember this. The tremendous speed which it can collate data. There is nothing extraordinary about it. Our human mind and human brain equally has the capacity, but unfortunately we have not cultivated it. Our ancients kept all of them in their brains. 24,000 of the shlokas of the Valmiki Ramayana, 100,000 shlokas of the Mahabharata, the entire Vedas were there in the brains of those people because they cultivated their brains. We refuse to cultivate the brains, cultivate the knowledge within, and over much dependent on the external gadgets. Particularly in the advanced countries, when they say Indians, they are amazed. How is it that you're able to calculate so fast? If you have to calculate 10 plus 2, then they need a calculator to be able to do this. We have reduced ourselves to such dull human beings, our brains are not cultivated. The ancient wisdom said, the moment a boy or a girl goes to the Guru, the Gurukula, the school, the first thing is nothing is taught. Contents are not given. But what was given is that power by which your inner intelligence can be awakened. This is called a Dhi in the Gayatri Mantra. Gayatri Mantra was imparted, Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Dhi is a higher intelligence, very difficult to translate it once again into English, that the intuitive higher intelligence which does not follow any algorithmic and a logical structure. The great debate about artificial intelligence is whether the human brain thinks algorithmically or not. The answer is no, it doesn't. The biggest debate in the world of formalistic logic, if you read the Penrose's book, you will know, is that the careful structure of formalistic logic built up by Bertrand Russell and Whitehead, Principia Mathematica, was smashed to smithereens by a young, intelligent scientist, mathematician called Gödel. I don't know how many of you have seen this. Please look this up. Gödel's theorem it is called. He said there are certain fundamental truths, principles, theorems, which are true, but neither provable nor disprovable. The incompleteness and the inconsistency theorems, into which I don't go, there are certain things which you intuitively feel. Suppose I ask you, so many people are sitting here. Are you sitting here? Yes, I am sitting here. Proof. Can you prove I am here? That I am here I am standing here talking to you is not provable by anything external. It is something which I feel I am, you feel I am, everybody feels I am. This is a fundamental intuitive understanding which every creature in this world has, and there can't be any external proof of this existence. So, the human intelligence has a higher level of intelligence, which is called the intuitive higher intelligence, which is called Dhi in the Gayatri Mantra, which is called Pragya in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which is called Medha in the Vedas, by which you can awaken your higher intelligence and intuitive intelligence, through which you crack the secrets of nature. And the logical mind comes in later as a servant and codifies the whole thing logically. The higher intelligence is what discovers, what penetrates, what explores. Why I am saying this to all of you? Because all of you will be engaged in solving problems, managing things through the management techniques which you have learned here, but innovations, something which is extraordinarily new, something which has not been thought about, comes through a higher order of intelligence which all of us can cultivate and must cultivate. Einstein once said very famously about the problem solving was talked about just now. No problem, he said, can be solved at the same level at which the problem was initially created. You create a problem at a level, you can't solve the problem at the same level. This is a philosophical thought which Einstein articulated. Please remember this. When you are managers and trying to manage things and solve problems, never go round and round at the same level to solve the problem. I'll give you a simple example and stop. I used to go for Durga Puja to Bombay. I used to conduct the puja. I was very fond of this long ritualistic pujas. It's so elevating, so transformative. The Swami in charge there said, so from Calcutta, that was of course nearly 35 years ago, you bring some chandmala. Most of you know this, like special kind of decoration which is available in Calcutta only, not in Bombay. He said, bring some chandmala. I purchased some and carried. I used to travel by train. In Dadar station, the train just stops for a couple of minutes. I was new, I was excited, I was tense. I was always worried whether I'll be able to properly get down with all the baggages. So in a hurry, I got down, completely forgot the chandmala. The train left. I went to the ashrama. The Swami in charge said, where is the chandmala? Oh, Maharaj, I totally forgot. I felt so miserable. I felt bad. Oh, he said, no, don't worry. We can purchase. We can order from Calcutta. So much money wasted. I should have been more careful. I was blaming myself constantly. In the night, I had a dream. The dream is, I'm traveling in a train, a bag containing some valuable documents. I just left it in the train and got down. The train left. I was miserably going to the station master, crying, where is the train? How can I recover? Suddenly, I got up. Now tell me, intelligent young people here, was the problem of the missing bag solved or not solved? Yes or no? It's all Google, nowadays there's a Google form. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. All our intelligence has been reduced to ticking, multiple choice. Nothing you have to write. The number of right ticks you make, you're supposed to be brilliant. What kind of education we are imparting? There's a story about a boy, he's extraordinarily intelligent. 99. Nowadays people get 100 marks in English literature. Shakespeare also perhaps would not have got that. So he went for an interview. The interviewer said, my dear boy, you're a wizard. You got such high marks. What's your name, my dear? The boy was blinking. What's your name? And the father said, sir, he is used to multiple choice. You should say your name is Ghosh, Mukherjee, Banerjee and Dasgupta. He will tick one. So we reduce the entire education simply ticking something, either interconsciously or unconsciously. That's a different story. Now tell me, the problem of the missing bag in my dream, was it solved or not solved? There are two ways of a solution to a problem. One is when the problem is solved, other is when the problem is dissolved, not solved. The problem of the missing bag, if it is solved, I will recover the bag at that time, then the problem is solved. When I woke up, the problem is dissolved because the level of consciousness at which the problem was created in a dream, that completely got transformed to a different level of consciousness in waking, and therefore the problem did not exist to be solved. So try to dissolve a problem rather than solving a problem. When you solve the problem at that same level at which the problem was created, you can never do it. Go to a different level of consciousness. Raise the level of consciousness of yourself and the people around you. So in that level, the problem is solved automatically. We were all children once upon a time. So innocent, so simple, so joyful. Remember your olden days when you were kids. Unfortunately, we got hopelessly spoiled by education. If we had not been educated, we would have been much better off. Very often I think like this. Vivekananda said this, I only want a medicine by which I can completely unlearn all that I have learned and become a child again. Wordsworth also has a famous poem, Ode to Childhood. We were given a balloon and kids are playing. Who will be able to blow the balloon as big as possible? The mom comes and says, hey, don't blow it beyond the point it will burst. No, I will. How much? It bursts. Oh, give me another. No, I will not give you another. I told you not to. For the child, the problem of the burst balloon is the most important in the world rather than the Gulf War. This is the most important because I don't understand anything except this. We grew up. When we see our children, our grandchildren playing like this, what do? We laugh, we enjoy. We don't think it's a problem. Was the problem solved? We outgrew the problem because we grew up. We went to a different level of consciousness by which the problem of a burst balloon ceases to be a problem. So this is the only way by which the problems of the world can be solved. Therefore, the ancient India wisdom comes and says, change the consciousness of all the world leaders we are now fighting. If their consciousness is properly oriented towards goodness, towards purity, towards unselfishness, towards harmony and peace, the problem is not solved but dissolved. Thank you.